Hey everybody, today we're going to talk about pentatonic scales and my favorite pentatonic pattern, the pentatonic skip step. My name is Jeff Lewis and you can reach me at jefflewistrumpet.com. In today's video we're going to go over major and minor pentatonic scales and the difference between those two. As I said, my favorite pentatonic pattern, the pentatonic skip step. That's a lot of pentatonics. A pentatonic scale is actually any scale within an octave that uses 5 notes, 5 different notes, of course. So traditionally, the major pentatonic scale is the 1, 2, 3, 5, 6 of a major scale. So for example, a C major scale, the 1, 2, 3 is C, D, E. The 5 is G, the 6 is A, and that has this sound. So as many of you know, the relative minor of C major is A minor. How did I get there? I either go to the 6th note of the major scale, C, D, E, F, G, A, or I can go down a minor third or 3 half steps. C to B to B flat to A. So either down a minor third or up a major 6, and either way I get to an A. If I play A to A, that's a natural minor scale, or what we call the relative minor of the C major scale. There is the relative minor of the C major pentatonic. Major pentatonic, C, D, E, G, A. If you go down to the minor pentatonic, starting on A, you've got A, C, D, E, G. So it's the same notes, but we're starting on A. So they're related. They're relatives of each other. The major and the relative minor, the minor and the relative major. So let's look at what chords you might want to play these patterns and these pentatonic scales over. You can play them over any major chord. You can play the major pentatonic. And vice versa, you can play any minor pentatonic over any minor chord, for the most part. You can also play, one of my favorite things to do is to play over the sus chord, or for example, a C7 sus chord. You can play a B flat major pentatonic, or the relative minor, the same notes, the G minor pentatonic. So in this first example, we are going to be using the D9 sus chord, which happens to be the very first chord of Herbie Hancock's Maiden Voyage. I also have a play along that you can play some of these exercises and these patterns with on YouTube. I'll leave a link down in the description below. The E9 sus chord, we are going to play the D major pentatonic. So this has this quality to it. So really I'm playing down a step on the piano because we're a transposing instrument. But we, trumpet players, are going to be playing the D major pentatonic. You can of course also play the relative minor pentatonic, which is B. The cool thing about pentatonics is sometimes when you get a choice to play many different scales, you get bogged down and it's almost like too much information. So if we've got this chord, it sounds really cool already when you improvise just using those few notes. If you'd like to download the free PDF of the minor pentatonic skip step pattern, I'll put a link in the description below and it'll take you to my website. Here's the B minor pentatonic skip step pattern I'm talking about over that first chord of Maiden Voyage. It's got a cool sound to it, doesn't it? I'm going to show you on the whiteboard what the skip step pattern is. So remember, here we have the D major scale. There's 2 sharps in D major, F sharp, and C sharp. The D major pentatonic, remember, just contains the 1, 2, 3, 5, and 6 of the major scale. So we've got D, E, F sharp, A, and B. Now remember, the minor pentatonic is simply the relative minor of D, which is, as you know, you go up 6 notes. The relative minor of D is B. So if we put that B down here, there's your B minor pentatonic scale. Okay, B, D, E, F sharp, A, B. So, what is the skip step? Now, I got this pattern from Jerry Bergonzi's Inside Improvisation series, book 2. It's entitled Pentatonics. You got to be careful with these books because there's 7 of them, and it's a plethora of jazz information. They're awesome. I highly recommend getting them. I'm going to put a link in the description below. You got to be careful with it because there's so many patterns, there's so many exercises. As trumpet players, we can get overwhelmed. Our chops get burnt out by playing so many. So what I would suggest doing is pick one of your favorite patterns and work on that for a couple months until you have it really down. This particular pattern struck a chord, so to speak, with me, and so I started working on this one. We start on the root or the B. We're going to skip the D, go up to the E, skip, step up to the F sharp, skip the E, go down, step, skip the F sharp, go to the A, step to the B, and you can see the pattern continues like this. F sharp, A, D, E, etc., and it looks like this when it's done. Once again, you can download this from my website, jefflewistrumpet.com, and I'll put a link in the description below so that you can have fun playing through these minor pentatonic skip steps and get a really cool sound when you do it. For this play along, I'm going to be using the IReal Pro, one of my favorite apps. It's a very powerful tool. What I'm going to do is I'm going to select the first 4 measures of the E9 sus chord in Maiden Voyage, and you and I are going to trade 4s. And let's try to use some of these minor pentatonic skip step patterns. If it gets really confusing, try selecting only a few notes. Try not to do too many jumps, as it can be pretty confusing. So let's start easy and then we'll get a little more complicated. I'll go first. Skip step. Okay, I probably went a little bit faster than I had planned, but sometimes that happens. So let's go into the next chord. The next chord is G9 sus. So what we're going to do is we're going to play a whole step below the F major pentatonic. As you know, the relative minor of F major is D minor, so we'll be using the D minor pentatonic skip step. So once again, what I'm doing is I'm selecting the second set of 4 chords on the IReal Pro during Maiden Voyage, and we're going to loop that and we're going to trade 4s. Okay, good. We're moving on. So the form of Maiden Voyage is AABA. So it goes back to the E9 sus, and then we play the G9 sus again. We're going to the bridge, which is F9 sus. So now we are in E flat major pentatonic. Relative minor of E flat major pentatonic is C minor. So let's do that. We're going to play the C minor pentatonic skip step patterns. And as you can see, I'm not playing it exactly as I have written, but I'm playing the way I feel like playing at the time. But there are some qualities of that skip step pattern. So once again, we're going to be playing the C minor pentatonic skip step. All right, we're going to move on. We're going to the second chord in the bridge. The second chord is E flat minor 7. We can use an E flat minor pentatonic. This one happens to be pretty tricky on the trumpet. We've got to involve that third finger, which is always going to be a situation. All right, so let's trade fours using the E flat minor pentatonic skip step. As you can hear, I played some notes outside. Call that sidestepping or playing outside of the key. It creates tension, tension release. That's a good thing. So I skipped up to the E minor skip step pentatonic, which has a kind of a cool vibe to it. And go wherever you want to go with that. So it's a lot of fun. You can experiment. It took me a long time just to get these patterns semi under my fingers. Like I said, choose one pattern, go with that for weeks on end until you can really get it down in 12 keys. I also wrote a jazz trumpet solo to Herbie Hancock's Maiden Voyage, and I posted it on YouTube. I'll put a link in the description below for that. You can also download the PDF on my website, and I have a worksheet as well with the minor pentatonics for each chord of this tune. For those of you who don't know, I also have a podcast. If you're interested in checking that out, go to the Jeff Lewis Trumpet Podcast. It's now on Google Play and iTunes. In the recent episode, I went over playing over the sus chords and went over the same techniques, and it might be a little bit easier for you to check that one out. It's a little bit different if you want to do it while you're driving in your car and kind of process it that way. But I also wanted to do it this way just because we can trade fours and it's a little bit more fun. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please like, subscribe, do all those YouTube things. It really helps me out with the YouTube algorithm. And if you have any questions, be sure to put them in the comment section below. I will be sure to get back to you. Thanks for watching. Happy practicing, and I'll catch you in the next video.